It was a bright, sunny morning in the quiet neighborhood. The streets were clean, the grass was green, and birds chirped happily in the trees. In the middle of all this calm, a man named Alex was preparing for his morning ride. His prized possession, an $85,000 golf cart, gleamed under the sun. It was not just a vehicle, it was his joy, his freedom, and a symbol of his calm, peaceful life. Alex always loved starting his day slowly. He would sip coffee, check the mailbox, and wave at neighbors as he cruised around in his golf cart. Today was no different. He was careful, calm, and polite, exactly the way he liked it. But little did he know, someone in the neighborhood was watching him, and that calmness would soon become the trigger for a storm he never saw coming. Across the street lived Karen. She was known in the neighborhood as a person who cared too much about rules and sometimes, too much about controlling everyone. She always had a sharp eye and a sharp tongue. People called her HOA Karen behind her back. Today, she was standing at her window, arms crossed, watching Alex push his golf cart out of the garage. Her eyes were fixed, her lips pressed tight. Something about Alex's calm, peaceful demeanor seemed to irritate her more than ever. Alex didn't notice Karen. He hummed a little tune as he drove his golf cart down the driveway, enjoying the soft breeze. The sunlight reflected off the polished surface of the cart, making it shine like gold. For him, this was pure happiness, a simple, quiet moment before starting the day. Karen, however, didn't see it that way. She saw someone being too calm, too relaxed, like they were ignoring the rules of the neighborhood. And in her mind, that was unacceptable. She started muttering to herself, "Why is he so calm? Doesn't he care about the rules? Doesn't he respect authority?" Her voice was low, but her anger was growing. Meanwhile, Alex rolled down the street, waving at neighbors who smiled and waved back. Everything seemed normal, peaceful. The calm of the neighborhood was like a bubble, soft, quiet, harmless. But this bubble was about to burst. Karen's frustration was building, and Alex had no idea what was coming. He stopped near the park to admire the view. The green lawns, the tall trees, and the kids playing gave him a sense of peace. He leaned back on his golf cart, enjoying the warmth of the morning sun. He was completely unaware that from a distance, someone was plotting to turn this calm into chaos. Karen decided she could not stay silent any longer. She grabbed her phone and started recording. Every calm action Alex made seemed like a provocation to her. The slow way he checked his mirrors, the relaxed hum of the golf cart engine, even the gentle smile on his face, it all made her blood boil. She whispered to herself, "I need to teach him a lesson. He can't get away with this calm attitude." Alex, still unaware, continued his ride. He waved to Mrs. Thompson walking her dog, nodded at the mailman, and made a slight turn down the cul-de-sac. Each movement was normal, peaceful, slow, perfectly harmless. But Karen's focus was sharp. Her mind was racing with thoughts of how to confront him. And then, the first warning sign appeared. Karen's neighbor, Mr. Lee, came outside to water his lawn. He noticed Karen peeking from her window and shaking her head. "Relax, Karen. It's just a golf cart ride," he said. But she didn't listen. Her eyes were glued to Alex as he moved slowly around the corner. In her mind, she was preparing for the moment when she could finally make him pay for being calm. Alex drove back toward his driveway, feeling the fresh air on his face. He parked his golf cart, stepped out, and stretched. Everything was normal. The neighborhood was quiet, the sun was shining, and the air smelled like morning dew. For him, it was just another peaceful day. But for Karen, it was the perfect opportunity. She had been waiting, planning, and now, her moment was coming soon. Little did Alex know, this calm morning would not stay calm for long. One neighbor's obsession, one person's need for control, was about to shatter the peace. And the calm man in the $85,000 golf cart had no idea that in just a few minutes, his day would turn into a full-blown neighborhood showdown. As Alex went inside to grab a snack, Karen stood by her window, phone in hand, recording every movement. The tension in the air was invisible but thick. The calm before the storm had never felt so quiet, and so dangerous. The sound of her heels clicking on the sidewalk was louder than it should have been. Karen marched down the street, phone in hand, her eyes locked on the calm figure of Alex as he polished his golf cart. She didn't need to shout yet, her presence alone was enough to make anyone uneasy. Alex looked up, surprised. He had just taken a sip of his coffee and smiled politely, waving at her. "Good morning," he said, his voice calm and friendly. But Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. It was sharp, cold, and full of warning. "You think you can just ride around like nothing matters?" she snapped, stepping closer. Her voice carried across the driveway, sharp and accusing. Alex blinked, trying to process the sudden confrontation. He had never had trouble with her before, at least not like this. Karen pointed at his golf cart as if it were the cause of all evil. "Do you have any idea how disruptive you are? You think just because you're calm, rules don't apply to you?" Her tone was intense, almost theatrical, and the phone in her hand shook slightly. She was clearly recording everything. Alex tried to stay composed. "I'm just taking a short ride around. I didn't mean to bother anyone." He smiled, hoping calm words would ease the tension. But Karen's anger wasn't about logic, it was about control. She leaned closer, her face almost red with fury. "Control," she spat the word like it was poison. "It's about respect. You have to show respect. You're too calm. People like you think rules are optional. Not in my neighborhood." A few neighbors peeked from behind curtains, some whispering, others filming discreetly. The calm, quiet street was suddenly buzzing with attention, even before the chaos fully began. Alex felt a ripple of unease. Karen's obsession was growing, and it was now pointed directly at him. He backed up a step, carefully keeping distance. "I just want to enjoy my cart, peacefully," he said, trying not to provoke her. But Karen didn't want peace, she wanted drama. Her lips curled into a smirk, and she waved her phone like a weapon. "And that's exactly the problem," she yelled. "You're too calm. Too casual. Too untouchable. Someone has to teach you a lesson." Alex swallowed hard, realizing this was no ordinary complaint. Karen had escalated, and the calm morning he loved had dissolved into tension. The first encounter had set the stage, and it was clear, the neighborhood's quiet life was about to explode into chaos, all over a golf cart and one person's obsession with control. The neighborhood was quiet, or at least, it looked quiet. Behind her sunglasses, Karen's eyes burned with a mix of frustration and determination. She wasn't just angry anymore, she was planning. Every small, calm move Alex made with his $85,000 golf cart was like a provocation, and she couldn't ignore it any longer. Karen's phone buzzed in her hand, another neighbor texting about the weird calm guy in the driveway. She ignored it. No one else could understand what she saw. To them, it was just a peaceful morning. To her, it was a challenge, a threat even, and she was ready to respond. Alex, completely unaware, was checking his golf cart, wiping the mirrors, adjusting the seats. He hummed softly, enjoying the sunlight. He had no idea that Karen was now circling the house like a hawk, planning her next move. Karen stepped out onto her porch, the camera angle in her phone perfectly framed. She whispered to herself, "They'll see. They'll finally understand why rules matter." Her voice was low, but her determination made it sharp. She wasn't going to yell yet, this was preparation. She needed witnesses. She needed proof. From a distance, a neighbor noticed her pacing. "Is she okay?" they muttered, glancing at Alex. But Karen ignored them, eyes fixed on her target. Every little movement Alex made now fueled her obsession. The slow way he checked the rearview mirror, the calm nod to a passing dog walker, even the soft click of the golf cart's buttons, it all became evidence of defiance in her mind. Karen's breathing grew heavier as she whispered again, "He's too calm, that's the problem. He thinks he can ignore me." She raised her phone, capturing every small detail. Every calm smile, every relaxed gesture was now part of her plan. She wasn't just complaining anymore. She was escalating. Suddenly, she stepped forward, letting out a sharp cough to get Alex's attention. He looked up, smiling politely, oblivious to the tension crackling in the air. "Morning," he said casually. Karen didn't answer. Instead, she squared her shoulders, her eyes locked on him like a predator. The calm morning had turned into a silent battlefield. No words yet, just watching, waiting, preparing. And then, the first move came. Karen started pacing, recording from different angles, muttering about rules, about respect, about control. She was building her story, her case against Alex in her own mind. Every neighbor who glanced out of their windows became an unwilling audience. Everyone could feel the tension, even if they didn't fully understand it. Alex felt a flicker of unease. Something about Karen's behavior didn't feel normal. He had faced complaints before, minor disagreements, small misunderstandings, but never like this. Her intensity was different. It wasn't just anger, it was obsession, and it was focused entirely on him. Karen's smirk returned as she whispered, "Soon, they'll all see. Calm won't save you." She backed up, creating space between herself and Alex, her phone ready to capture every moment. This was no longer just about annoyance, it was about control, proof, and escalation. The calm neighborhood had vanished. What remained was suspense, tension, and a brewing storm. Alex had no idea that Karen's next move would push everything over the edge. It started with a slow, almost quiet rumble. Alex was adjusting the seat of his $85,000 golf cart, unaware that Karen had stepped closer, phone in hand, eyes burning with fury. The air felt heavier now, charged with tension. The sun reflected off the cart's polished surface, almost mocking the calm it represented. Karen's voice cut through the silence. "You think you can just sit there, calm as ever?" she yelled, her words sharp and explosive. Alex looked up, startled. He had faced angry neighbors before, but nothing like this. Her tone was not about reason, it was pure, raw anger, ready to erupt. Before he could respond, Karen stepped forward and slammed her hand on the side of the golf cart. The metal dented with a sickening sound. Alex froze. His prized possession, his $85,000 golf cart, shook under the force. What are you doing?" he stammered, stepping back, heart racing. Karen didn't answer. She was beyond words. Her face was red, eyes wide, lips trembling with rage. "Too calm," she shouted. "You're too calm, and it makes me mad." Neighbors began peeking from windows, some whispering, some filming with their phones. The quiet cul-de-sac had turned into a stage. Every moment of calm Alex had enjoyed that morning was now shattered, replaced by chaos. Karen grabbed the steering wheel of the golf cart, trying to rock it, spin it, anything to make a point. Alex lunged forward to stop her, but she was relentless. "You think you're untouchable?" "Not in my neighborhood," she screamed, finally backing off, but not before leaving visible scratches and dents. Alex's hands shook as he stepped away, trying to keep control, trying to stay calm. "Please, calm down, it's just a golf cart," he said, his voice trembling slightly. But Karen's fury had no reason, no logic. Her need to dominate the situation had taken over completely. The camera on her phone captured every moment, the dented metal, Alex's shocked expression, the silence of the neighbors who had frozen in disbelief. It was surreal, almost like a slow-motion nightmare. 1 second, a peaceful morning. The next, a full-blown meltdown over nothing more than calmness. And then, the final push came. Karen stomped on the cart's pedal, nothing happened, luckily, but the aggression, the intent, was clear. She wanted to leave a mark, to make her point, and she had succeeded. Alex stared at the cart, once shiny and perfect, now damaged and marred by her anger. The tension didn't end there. Karen stepped back, chest heaving, phone still recording. She had made her statement. The quiet cul-de-sac had become a theater of chaos, with Alex unwillingly at center stage. Neighbors whispered, some shook their heads, some laughed nervously. Everyone was witnessing something they never thought possible, a calm man's prized golf cart attacked over calmness. Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had survived the encounter physically, but his sense of peace, his calm morning, had been completely destroyed. Karen's anger had escalated faster than he could react, leaving chaos, scratches, and disbelief in her wake. The calm, the peace, the sunny morning, it was gone. And as Alex stared at his damaged golf cart, he realized one thing: this was just the beginning. Karen's obsession had reached a new level, and the neighborhood was about to see even more chaos unfold. The distant wail of a siren, or maybe just the click of a patrol car door, cut through the tense silence of the street. Alex was still staring at his damaged $85,000 golf cart, heart pounding, when the HOA security officer appeared. He was tall, uniform crisp, badge shining, and he looked like someone who had dealt with chaos, until now. Karen didn't wait. She marched up to the officer, waving her phone like a trophy. "You have to see this. He's too calm," she yelled, voice shaking with excitement and fury. The officer's eyebrows shot up, glancing at Alex like he had stepped onto another planet. Alex tried to explain, hands raised. "I'm calm. I didn't do anything wrong, please, just..." But the officer wasn't listening. Karen's energy was contagious, or maybe contagious and chaotic. "Sir! You need to take action. Look at this," she screamed, pointing at the dented cart and replaying the footage on her phone. "He's completely calm. He doesn't care. He's mocking the rules." The officer's face turned red. Not just red, but boiling with confusion and frustration. Alex blinked. He had seen angry people before, but this was new. This was someone in authority, losing control over someone being calm. "Listen, sir," calm doesn't Alex began, but the HOA cop cut him off, voice rising. I can't. I mean, this is unbelievable." The words tumbled out, jumbled, frantic. The calm man, the golf cart, and Karen's relentless rage had created a perfect storm. Karen stepped closer, phone recording every word. "See? He's provoking you. Look at him," she shouted, eyes wide with satisfaction. The officer's hands shook, pointing at Alex, then at the golf cart, then at Karen. I've never seen anything like this. This, calm, it's breaking the rules." Neighbors peeked from behind curtains and fences, whispering, gasping, and filming. Some were trying not to laugh. Some were frozen in disbelief. It wasn't just Karen losing it anymore. The officer, the supposed enforcer of peace and rules, was unraveling in real time. Alex tried one last calm explanation, but it was too late. The officer's meltdown had begun. Hands flailing, voice cracking, and face red, he shouted things that didn't fully make sense, like "You can't be this calm. It's illegal. I'm calling it in." Karen's smirk widened. She had wanted witnesses, and now she had them. Not just neighbors, but an authority figure, completely flustered, caught in the chaos she had orchestrated. Every click of her phone was documenting victory, or maybe disaster. The calm cul-de-sac was now a scene of absurdity. Alex, still trying to breathe and think clearly, realized something: this wasn't about the golf cart anymore. This was about control, obsession, and human absurdity all colliding in one unforgettable moment. As the officer stumbled over his words, Karen leaned closer to Alex and whispered, almost triumphantly, "Next time, don't be so calm." And that was when Alex understood: the chaos wasn't over. Not by a long shot. From the window of her beige house across the street, Mrs. Thompson shook her head in disbelief. Her morning coffee had gone cold. She had seen arguments before, sure, but nothing like this. A calm man, a dented $85,000 golf cart, a screaming Karen, and an HOA officer completely losing it. It was like a scene from a movie. Kids playing in the nearby park stopped mid-laugh, staring at the chaos on the street. A drone of whispers traveled from house to house, like a ripple in still water. Everyone had seen Karen's video already, or at least heard the shouting, and now curiosity was irresistible. People grabbed phones, stepped onto porches, and peered through blinds. The neighborhood was alive with silent judgment and quiet shock. Alex stood near his golf cart, still trying to catch his breath. He felt the weight of every pair of eyes on him. The calm morning he had loved so much was gone. Every neighbor's gaze felt like a magnifying glass, analyzing, judging, witnessing something that should never have happened. Did she really just do that? Mr. Lee muttered from his lawn, holding his dog's leash tightly. The dog barked nervously, sensing the tension in the air. And that officer, he completely lost it. Over a calm guy? Are you kidding me? Karen, sensing the attention, stood taller. She held her phone like a trophy, replaying the footage of Alex and the golf cart. Her smirk said it all. She had become the star of the neighborhood drama, and everyone else was watching. Every glance she caught only fueled her energy. From the corner of the street, a teenager leaned on his bike, whispering to his friend, "I swear, this is insane." She went full-on meltdown over him being calm? And the cop. Don't even get me started on that. Alex felt a strange mix of frustration and disbelief. The golf cart, once his pride and joy, was damaged, and the neighborhood had turned into an audience for one person's obsession. Yet, in all this chaos, a small part of him noticed something important. Everyone was watching, and everyone would remember this moment. Even the mailman, usually calm and distant, slowed down to watch. He shook his head, muttering, "Only in this neighborhood, only in this neighborhood." Karen caught his gaze and winked. Not a friendly wink, but a triumphant one. Her performance was complete. Everyone had seen the destruction, the shouting, the meltdown, the absurdity. And for her, that was victory. The street, once calm and quiet, had become a stage for chaos, absurdity, and tension. Every neighbor had their own opinion, their own shock, their own story about what they just witnessed. And Alex, still standing beside his damaged golf cart, realized that the aftermath of Karen's obsession was only beginning. He looked at the surrounding houses, at the eyes watching from behind curtains and fences, and whispered under his breath, "This is going to leave a mark, not just on my cart, but on the entire neighborhood." For a few minutes, there was silence. Then whispers turned into murmurs, murmurs into discussions, discussions into arguments between neighbors. Some laughed nervously. Some shook their heads in disbelief. The neighborhood itself had become part of the story, caught in the absurdity, tension, and chaos that Karen had unleashed. The street was quiet now, but the calm was fragile. Broken tension still lingered in the air like smoke after a fire. Alex stood beside his dented $85,000 golf cart, staring at it as if seeing it for the first time. The scratches, the dents, and the memory of Karen's furious hands on it burned in his mind. His calm morning, once perfect, had been completely destroyed. Karen, surprisingly calm now, leaned against her fence, phone in hand. She scrolled through the video she had captured, replaying the chaos again and again. In her eyes, she had won. The neighbors had seen her power, the officer had lost control, and Alex had been humiliated by mere calmness. She smirked, satisfied, though the tension in the neighborhood was far from gone. Neighbors were slowly emerging from their homes. Some shook their heads in disbelief, others whispered nervously about what had happened. A few brave souls came closer to check on Alex, while others kept their distance, unsure which side to take. The once quiet cul-de-sac now felt like a stage that had hosted a strange, unforgettable drama. Alex knelt by his golf cart, running his fingers over the scratches. "It's just metal," he whispered, trying to convince himself. But it wasn't just about the cart. It was about the principle, the chaos, and the absurdity of what had happened. The calm had been shattered, not by force, but by obsession and rage. The HOA officer finally pulled himself together, still red-faced and muttering. He avoided eye contact with Alex, as if admitting defeat. Karen waved at him smugly, phone raised like a badge of victory. "See? I told you calm was a crime," she said, half joking, half serious. Even the neighbors couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity. Some whispered, "We'll be talking about this for months." Others filmed snippets to share with friends. The calm man, the angry Karen, the meltdown officer, it had become the story of the neighborhood, and everyone was now part of the audience. Alex stood up, took a deep breath, and looked at the street. The calm was returning, slowly, like water filling an empty pond. But he knew the scars, both on his golf cart and in the neighborhood, would remain. He had survived the storm, but Karen's obsession had left a mark far bigger than metal scratches. He glanced at Karen one last time. She had her phone ready, her eyes glinting with triumph. The showdown had ended, for now. But the story, the tension, the drama, it wasn't over. One thing was certain, in this quiet neighborhood, calm would never be taken for granted again. As Alex finally walked back to his house, the neighbors returned to their routines, but the memory of the chaos lingered in every whispered conversation and every sideways glance at Karen's house. The calm man in the golf cart had survived, but the legend of the HOA Karen meltdown would live on forever.